What is up, ladies and gentlemen? And today we are talking about Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Initially, I was going to make a video on Uncharted Drake's Fortune, but for some reason, it's deciding to not let me play it for at least about a minute and then it crashes. But however, we're not going to worry about that. We are going to talk about Uncharted 2 because I think Uncharted 2 Among Thieves really sets the bar from what the first one did in terms of its action, in terms of its gameplay, the structure of the story of that first game, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I think Uncharted 2 did a really good job with its core structures of the gameplay itself, and with the story really diversifying itself from that of what the first one did. And I think that's what's make the second one so unique and so great. Now, what I want to put in here, though, too, is that with Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, this game definitely reminds me of a younger Indiana Jones type of thing, or like a male Tomb Raider, as a lot of people are pretending it to be, which is certainly type of true, I would say. But overall, I still think it's a really good game. And one thing I will give the Uncharted series is the fact that you play as Nathan Drake. He is voiced by Nathan Nolan North. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And so I was thinking about Nathan Fillion because he's absolutely hilarious though too. But he actually ended up doing a small fan film of Uncharted on YouTube, and I actually ended up watching that, and that was actually really, really good. Surprisingly, of that being a fan made film. So, however, now going back to Uncharted 2, because what I love about this game, or about this series per se, is the fact that it's not just of what I previously mentioned. It's the fact that it's the sense of humor amongst everything, of the interactions that Nathan Drake goes within, like the enemies, or like, with this part of the game that I was playing initially through Uncharted 2, and in like Flynn, he was like doing a joke, and because the guy that he's with on this heist take, his name is Flint, so I think that was really kind of cool how he was trying to initiate that joke, and that's what I love about the Uncharted series, and I think that's where this series is. It's not just because of its Tomb Raider-esque vibes to it, because of its core gameplay aesthetic or concept, to where you do search for certain types of treasure trinkets or whatnot. But however, what makes the Uncharted series shine to the most is that it's everything of what this game was initially supposed to be. And I think that's where, with the newer Tomb Raider games, those games were far more serious, because they were, obviously you do play as Lara Croft in those newer Tomb Raider games, but it was more on the lines of being in the survival mode, basically. With the Uncharted series, it's not so much like that at all, because that's where these games are really. It gives a good certain type of vibe, like I said, that Indiana Jones type of feel to it. You're always going to these very massive vistas within the game, and with these vistas, it shows you that there's a huge backdrop within the world, and that's where I think the Uncharted games do a really fantastic job with its world building. But however, I think another thing what really makes this series so good as a whole is the story. I think, like I said, I don't do very well when it comes to story games, but I like to talk about more of the technical side and the gameplay side of things, because that's where I believe I'm much more better at. I keep on mentioning this in my other videos as well, but I know I tend to repeat myself, so my apologies on that one though too. So I'm just keep this in mind. But I love this Uncharted series, and it's the action, it's the thematic themes, and it feels like you're playing as a Hollywood type of blockbuster type of film in video game format. And that's where I was saying that this game really does a good job of utilizing its core gameplay elements, and how these games really initialize to initiate certain types of development And another thing what I love about this series as a whole and Uncharted 2 is that this game is, I would say, I think 2 is my favorite of the whole entire series. But however, I did enjoy Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4, and I am planning on making videos on those other two games as well in the series. But however, I think when it came to Uncharted 2, there's just a lot of things that I really wasn't quite anticipating at first, because I'm like, well, I felt like it was going to be the same exact thing than from the first one, but it kind of is, but in a way, you are able to do stealth missions, especially what you see here. And, I like the fact that they were able to incorporate that, and that's another thing that what makes this part of the game right here so unique, because you are breaking and entering. And so that's where there's some mystery involvement, and I think they did a really good job with Uncharted 2. And what I will say is that I think Uncharted 2 is remarkable. I love the way how this game looks, especially from an older generation of consoles that we've had, like the PS3 and the PS4. They had the game initially on, but they actually initially remastered Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, for the PlayStation 3. Well, no, I'm sorry, for the PlayStation 4, and then you were able to play it through the backwards compatibility on PS5 as well. So what I want to put here, though, too, I think when it came to Uncharted 2, this game did a really amazing good job on its, not like I mentioned, of its world building, but it had to do with the fact that of how much interaction that you can do within the world. It's like you can be able to duck behind certain types of objects as well, much like you were able to do in all four Uncharted games. And I love its combat system. I love the way how you can just run and gun, or you can run and gun and then go into the fray and punch the daylight savings, that bunch the daylights out of your enemies. And that's another thing that I really thoroughly enjoyed about the Uncharted games. And I think that's where this game really, it does a much better job than from what the first one did in so many aspects when it came to the gameplay mechanics, like going into combat rather than just like doing the gunplay, and that's where I think the gunplay in 2, it's more refined. It's definitely more refined. It's more revamped. And they did a really good job by, not being able to go having the weapon. The weapons do have a little bit of recoil, but however, I think that's where 2 does a better job with the recoil system with the weapons in 2. And it greatly shows because, as they ventured on forward to Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, and then Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, they did a much better job on those 2 as well, because of the fact that they were able to do, the core gameplay mechanics when it came to the gunplay. The gunplay was like, it was more thoroughly improved, and I loved it. And so I think, in my personal opinion, I don't think I had any problems with all the Uncharted games when it came to not just its story elements. I think it had to do with the fact of, what these games were able to do and tell with the story, along with Nathan Drake and, other important NPCs, like Elena Fisher or like Sully, and another thing a lot of people probably don't know, and I'm sure a lot of people do know as well, is that Amy Hennig I believe she was the creative director, or the director of most of the Uncharted series, until until Uncharted 2, I think, maybe, or Uncharted 3. And then Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann actually ended up were able to do, I think it was Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, and Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. So, but what I will say, I think they did a really good job of maintaining a proper balance of, doing a proper focus on what these directors were able to do and how they were able to just, do a lot more things better than from what the first Uncharted did in terms of everything. Like I said, it's gameplay, it's gunplay, it's overarching story, and with some sense of humor involved, and that's where all these games really do shine though too, is that the sense of humor has always been one of the greatest things that I love about these games, other than its combat themes and its gunplay themes and the concept of the sense of humor. And like I said, Nolan North does a fantastic job as Nathan Drake. I don't think anybody else were able to do that, especially when it comes to video game format. But, Nathan Fillion, like I said, he did a really good job in the fan film Uncharted on YouTube. I do highly advise to try to watch that, because like I said, I have watched it, and it was really, really good. So I really recommend watching that. So this video is going to be kind of long. So I might actually end up cutting this short, because I feel like that, the only reason why I make these videos a little bit longer than usual is because sometimes I would also try to initiate better balance of what I really want to talk about when it comes to a certain game, much like Uncharted 2. So I think I pretty much came to my own entire idea or focus of what I wanted to talk about for Uncharted 2. So what I will say is that this game still looks great on the backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 5. It doesn't have any problems, no jarring movements or no glitches or anything from what I've noticed or found out about. So all I can say is that this game absolutely plays astonishingly on the PlayStation 5. So like I said, I do highly recommend playing this game if you have played the first one first. And, but overall, you really don't have to play the first one to play the second one, or play the second one to get to the third one, or play the third one to get to the fourth one. They all have different types of stories to them. But that's what makes these games so great, though, too, is that when you have like a series of games, or like a sequel of games, much like the Legacy of Kain series, those games were pretty much intertwined along from the very first game of that series, which was Blood and Men: Legacy of Kain, because that game was the focal crux. It was the main core balance of that game being the main game, or the main structure of why the Legacy of Kain series was so well loved from a lot of fans out there, including myself. So that's all I gotta say about that, though, too. So what I will say here is that if you like I said, if you really want to play an Uncharted game, and if you have played the first one, like I said, by all means play the second one. I do highly recommend it, and it's still a lot of fun, like I said, and it's one of the best out there. I mean, other than Uncharted 3 or Uncharted 4, because like I said, I loved all of them equally and superiorly. And so, I mean, even if that is a word, but however, I'm just trying to make my own point across here. One thing I do want to put in here real quick, though, too, before we end this video, is that I think when it came to Uncharted 2, they did a lot of things that that the first one didn't really incorporate very much. Is the fact that they had a lot more cinematic involved. I mean, they did have a lot of cinematics in the first one, and I love the cinematics in the first one. I think it really did a good job with its story overall. But with Uncharted 2, and then along with Uncharted 3, and then Uncharted 4, they went no holds barred when it came to the cinematics in these games. And what I will say, the cinematics in these games are one of the best I've seen, especially when it comes to a game that's very much similar to that of, like the Tomb Raider games, though, too. Because, the Tomb Raider games were really good. I actually really thoroughly enjoyed them quite a bit. But like I said, comparing from the Uncharted series and to the newer Tomb Raider games is the fact that it's the sense of humor that brings the Uncharted games much to a better certain type of concept, because you're getting a lot of funny moments, and I love that when we have funny moments in a game like this. So I think another thing, though, too, when it came to Uncharted 2 for me, is in fact that the snow effects, especially in certain parts of the game or part of the chapters in the game, and it's one of the best I've seen from that of Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 did a fantastic job with its snow effects, and I think when it came to Uncharted 2 with its snow effects, it was fantastic. It was breathtaking in its own unique type of way. And so what I will say is that, I will love to see most games out there that have really good particle and snow effects, especially in video games like Uncharted 2 or Red Dead Redemption 2. And so I'm hoping that, we will see that type of effects like that. What another thing I want to put in here too is the fact that, I think when it came to this game as well, is, it's like I said, it's everything. This game just really, really captivated me as a gamer, and how far games have come when it came to the Uncharted games, or like the Tomb Raiders, or the games that we have today. Because I mean, I really think that when it comes to single player games in general, I really think that the Uncharted games and the Tomb Raiders, and much like the Legacy of Kain series, I really want to have games like this again, because I want to say is that I think single player games, they are not a dead format. They are not a dead. They are not a dead. What I don't know what I'm trying to say, that they're not a dead thing to consider, because I think single player games are the most important. I mean, a lot of people would say, well, multiplayer games are the most important, though, too. It's like, that may be because if a person's more of a multiplayer gamer than a single player gamer, that's fine. But I think for me, though, as a single player gamer, and I do like some games that do have a cooperative and multiplayer component to them, but it also has to do with, playing with friends online, though, too. And that's the most important thing as well. So what I wanted to do here is that I'm hoping that a lot of people really enjoy the content that I make. I've been getting fantastic, positive thinking from some people on my channel, and it's great, and it's making me a lot better than I normally used to be. And so that's the most important thing to me, though, too, because I'm literally trying my best. That's all I can say. And so, like I said, it is what it is, and I'm just going to go with it as far as I can go. But, all I can say is that, if you really want to play a game, by all means, play the Uncharted series. Like I said, it's one of the best, opposite that of the newer Tomb Raider games that we've had in the past few years. And I would love to see a game like this again. Very much similar to like the Tomb Raider or the Uncharted games. And I think that it's really well advised to understand that, I want to just see games like this. But however, I am thinking about making more further videos like this in the long run. Like I said, I am planning on making a video on Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. So stay tuned for that. I don't know when that's going to be. But anyways, this is Jake from Citizen JV. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. But if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to reply back if and whenever possible. And you guys have a good rest of your week and your Monday. And I'll chat you guys later. Peace.
Shit. We can't get any closer with the tower lit up like that. What the hell's she doing?
Come on, Chloe. That's my girl.